hope you enjoyed that nice little intro that I had for you. But hello, everybody. Let's get into this. Welcome to another Overwatch League fan thoughts and analysis video. Today, it will be for Stage 3, Week 4. But before we jump into that, let's take a look back at what happened in Stage 3, Week 3. Not my best week. Bit of a struggle for this week, especially Sunday, but we'll get to that. We started out with Thursday, where we can see that the San Francisco Shock beat the Boston Uprising. The Houston Outlaws beat the Paris Eternal in my big pick game. Hangzhou Spark beat the Dallas Fuel. And the LA Valiant with the big win over the Shanghai Dragons. Valiant looking really good so far in this stage. That win against the Dragons really started to solidify the Valiant as a very big contender. Moving into Friday, we see the London Spitfire take on the New York Excelsior. New York Excelsior walk away with a 3-2 victory. Very close match of that one. San Francisco Shock beat the Florida Mayhem. Shanghai Dragons, after losing to the Valiant, come back and beat the LA Gladiators. That was my big pick game. I did not pick that one correctly, so we're 1-1 so far. And then the Vancouver Titans beat the Chengdu Hunters. They had their number for a little bit, the Hunters did, but ultimately they couldn't walk away with it. Saturday, we have the London Spitfire, who narrowly beat the Washington Justice 2-1. Philadelphia Fusion with a 3-2 victory of the Atlanta Reign, I believe. Guangzhou Charge beating the Toronto Defiant. Clearly two teams that I have no idea really how to judge them, so hey, guess the Charge are better than I thought and the Defiant are significantly worse than I thought. And my big pick game for Saturday, the Hangzhou Spark with the win over the Seoul Dynasty. Moving on to Sunday. Nothing. Nothing went my way on Sunday. The only game I maybe would have picked differently was the first one. Chengdu Hunters beating the Dallas Fuel convincingly. Obviously, Dallas Fuel, no OG, no Unco, so were they really the best versions of themselves? Not really. But I think even with the rest of the team, just the way it looked, there's a very good chance that Chengdu Hunters would have won. I wasn't really confident in that pick anyway, but I thought the Dallas Fuel would bounce back. Boston Uprising reverse sweep against the Paris Eternal. Boston is back. Florida Mayhem beating Houston Outlaws. Houston, what's going on, Houston? What happened? Houston Outlaws are the only team I could think of that could ever possibly beat the San Francisco Shock one week and then lose to the Florida Mayhem the next week. So that is the Houston Outlaws for you. Florida Mayhem picking up their second win of the season. It took them a little while to get some good old win number 2. They may be the team in the league with the longest amount of time between wins. I don't know if it's just this season or even potentially in league history. But it's been a while for the Mayhem since they got their last win. Finally, the big game to end the week. As you saw at the beginning of this video, the LA Valiant beating the Vancouver Titans 3-1. The Valiant look very good. They looked good against the Dragons. They looked even better against the Titans. This is a team that if they can get to that top 12, nobody is safe. They could run the table if they get into that top 12. It's going to be difficult for them to get into the top 12. They have a tough week coming up. They have a couple of tough opponents at the rest of this stage. They could definitely make a run in Stage 3 playoffs. If they make it into the Stage 3 playoffs, which at this point I don't see how they wouldn't, I really think the Valiant could be a very scary team. Huge win for them. The Titans' win streak ends at 19, which is still very good. But the Valiant walk away with a big win. Incredibly impressive play from them. Can't say enough. The rest of the week, obviously, I went through it pretty quickly. Nothing was really that surprising. I'd say the Dragons beating the Gladiators. The Gladiators did not look that good. It was pretty one-sided. The Spark and the Dynasty, that was a good match. It was all Spark in the first half, and the Dynasty were dominating in the second half, but ultimately on map 5, the Spark looking pretty dominant once again. So that was a very back-and-forth match. It makes me, once again, very hopeful that the Dynasty will figure out what they're doing. What they're doing is very weird. I'm very confused by what they're doing, but they seem to be doing well for the most part, but they're not able to get the wins against those really big teams like the Spark, like the Titans. They did get that win against New York in the stage playoffs back in stage one, but they lost them in the regular season. They haven't been able to beat San Francisco. They're struggling to get those really big wins. So we'll see what happens with Seoul going forward. But there were some good matches this week. Valiant versus Titans, probably my match of the week. Valiant versus Dragons was also a very good match. I stayed up to watch that one. That was a mistake. But yeah, that is week 3. Let's move ahead and take a look at week 4. We got 2 days of only 3 games, so that'll be fun. We start off on Thursday, June 27th. We have the Hangzhou Spark taking on the LA Valiant. That is my big pick game for Thursday. Who would have guessed that would be a big pick game at any point in time? At the beginning of the season, I may have even picked this as a big pick at the beginning of the season when they played. I don't think I did, but there is a chance. I'm picking the Spark. I think the Spark have looked better for the most part than the Valiant, than the Valiant, but also, I think yes, the Titans and the Spark played, and the Valiant beat the Titans, and the Titans beat the Spark. So, by extension, the Valiant have beaten the Spark. I don't think the Titans have been that impressive, and I think the Spark really gave the Titans a run. I think they looked better from stuff I've seen. I think the Spark just kind of made some mistakes, and the Titans really clutched it out. I think I can't even talk. Against the Valiant, the Titans just looked lost. They looked confused. They did not look prepared. They did not look like the same Titans we've seen. I definitely think it was a bit of a trap game, but I do think the Valiant played very well. They played incredibly, and they played to their strengths. The Spark are a very difficult opponent as well. I definitely think there's no one at this point in time the Valiant can't beat. We've seen them go to 5 maps against New York. We've seen them beat Vancouver. We've seen them play the Gladiators very close. They're a team that's getting better consistently, and they're getting scary good at this point in time. So this will be a very good match. I'm going to pick the Spark. This is a coin flip to me. This is a 50-50 game. The Spark have struggled against Sombra. The Valiant have been playing Sombra very well. It'll be interesting to see what happens. The Valiant are playing in a lot of ways similar to what we're seeing from New York right now, taking out your flex tank, even though your flex tank is a very good player, and putting in those 3 DPS, focusing on that Sombra comp, and it's working really well for the Valiant so far this stage. And they definitely, I think, could beat the Spark. But this will be a good close series. Next, we have the Seoul Dynasty and the Paris Eternal. I'm taking the Seoul Dynasty. I think they look better than the Eternal. There's not much more to it than that. Finally, San Francisco Shock taking on the Chengdu Hunters. I'm picking the Shock. It's the Shock. They're very good. I'm not a firm believer in the Hunters, even if they did beat Dallas. Because I'm not a firm believer in the Dallas Fuel either. So I don't expect it to be a very close game. I expect it to be one-sided. I expect Shock to win it easily. Moving on to Friday, June 28th. Big pick once again features the LA Valiant. This time it is the London Spitfire taking on the LA Valiant. I'm going to pick the Valiant. Never thought I'd be saying that. But the Spitfire have looked okay at times. They haven't looked as dominant as I think the Valiant have for the most part. The Valiant have looked a lot better. Obviously, they just beat the Titans. You can't really get much better than that. The Spitfire struggled against Washington, had a close series against New York. I think the Spitfire will, of course, be focused on this series, and it'll be hard for the Valiant playing games back-to-back days, but I don't really have any worry about the Valiant at this point in time. They've proven to me that they can win. They look really good. But I think that this will be another difficult game for the Valiant. The Spitfire are very good, but they have also struggled against the Sombra, and we'll see how things differ. How the teams prepare for the Valiant now, what they do to prepare for them. But I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what the LA Valiant can do here, because it's a good week for them. So I'm going to pick them. They've impressed me recently, and I think they've looked better than the Spitfire have recently. Next, we have the LA Gladiators taking on the Toronto Defiant. Gladiators, I think, win this one pretty easily. Gladiators are a good team, even if they are coming off a loss to another good team in the Dragons. This is the kind of game that the Gladiators should win with ease, as the Defiant are struggling. Houston Outlaws against Washington Justice. This to me is a bounce back game for the Outlaws. They lost to Florida. I don't think they lose to Washington. I think they realize the mistakes they made, they improve upon it, they beat the Justice. I think the Mayhem actually looked really good. Right now, I maybe would put the Mayhem ahead of the Justice in my power rankings. It's a little difficult to say for sure, just because the way the two teams play and the way they do things are very different. The Mayhem have been, I feel like this game came out of nowhere for them. It matters to me how they perform against Hangzhou on Saturday. But it'll be an interesting match, but I think the Outlaws walk away from this one with the win. On Saturday, June 29th, we have the Dallas Fuel taking on the New York Excelsior. I think this is a pretty good match for the New York Excelsior. This is a match I don't think they should struggle with too much. They've been in a pretty good... I'm trying to think of the word I want to use. They've been in a pretty good run so far this stage. They're the only team left this stage that has not lost a match, which is the first time this season that is the case with New York. So good for them, I guess. Good for me as a fan too, but that is what it is. But I think New York has looked very good. Dallas Fuel have not looked very good. So New York, to me, wins this one pretty easily. My big pick game for Saturday, Boston Uprising against the Philadelphia Fusion. I'm going to take the Philadelphia Fusion. They've been looking better. Uprising finally got their win this stage. So these two teams will be kind of fighting for that boost they need to kind of stay in the contention of those top 12. Fusion are obviously on the much higher end of that top 12, but they have a very tough schedule coming forward. Well, not a very tough schedule, but their schedule is something they need to kind of get those wins and get themselves in a good position to maybe even break that bottom, of the top 6. That'll be very difficult. I don't think they'll be able to do that, but they are kind of fighting for that guaranteed spot, not that play-in spot. And they need all the wins they can get. Uprising need all the wins they can get to be in that top 12. But I think the Fusion have looked better so far, and the Fusion take this one. Next, the Florida Mayhem taking on the Hangzhou Spark. Hangzhou Spark win that one to me easy. Spark are a very good team. They're very solid. I think they've solidified themselves as the 4th best team in the league when you consider the overall season. Maybe not 4th best team this stage. Obviously, stages, you have teams that are performing very well, like the Valiant, who are not going to be the number 4 team overall right now. But in the Spark have done a lot to solidify their position as the 4th best team in the league. And I think they beat the Mayhem with ease. Finally, on Saturday, the Shanghai Dragons take on the Guangzhou Charge. This, to me, is an easy win for the Dragons. Guangzhou Charge not looking very good. And though they have looked improved this stage as compared to stage 2, and they've definitely been having some bright spots and some times of shine. Nothing compared to the way the Dragons have been playing. Yes, the Dragons, are coming off a loss to the Valiant and a win against the Gladiators. But to me, this is a match they don't drop. I don't think the Guangzhou Charge are a team that the Shanghai Dragons can't overcome. Moving on to Sunday, June 30th, my birthday, the best day of the year. No New York playing, though, so that's unfortunate. But it is a good day because it's my birthday. We have the LA Gladiators taking on the Vancouver Titans. That is the Overwatch League match of the week. That is my big pick game. I expect it to be a very good match. Gladiators will be playing the Defiant earlier in the week. The Titans, this is their only game of the week. They are going to be doing everything they can to try to 4-0 the Gladiators and not repeat what happened against the Valiant. Now, obviously, these are two teams that we've seen play already, with the Titans winning pretty convincingly. But the Gladiators, I don't really see them winning this match. Titans, I think, win this one pretty easily again. But you never know. Obviously, Titans are beatable now. They've lost 2 games on the season now, the Stage 2 finals, and a game to the LA Valiant. So that is what it is, but the Titans, I think, bounce back easily, win this one. Next, with the San Francisco Shock taking on the London Spitfire. I think this will be a decent series. Um, but I still think this is one that the Shock walk away with. Spitfire have a tough week, I think. I think they'd be lucky to go 1-1. They'd be lucky if they can get out of the San Francisco Shock game and win a map. I think it'll be somewhat competitive, but the Shock, I think, will edge them out. It's just what happens when the Shock play. It's either complete dominance or kind of close that the Shock edge out, in my eyes. But I don't really think this is a match that the Spitfire will have too much overall success in getting a win in the win column. Next, Houston Outlaws take on the Toronto Defiant. Houston Outlaws, to me, should win this one. Defiant not looking that good. They're really on a bit of a skid, more than a lot of the other teams are. So Outlaws, to me, should win this one just because they've been playing well. Yes, of course, they lost to Florida, but you got to have some of those moments to really kind of wake you up and say, okay, we got to get back into the groove and make sure we're performing well again. So this is a win I think the Outlaws take. And ending off the week, the Chengdu Hunters take on the Seoul Dynasty. I'm picking the Dynasty. I like the Dynasty a lot better. I think they play a lot better. And when I say like, I don't mean I like the team better. Like as a fan, I just like the way they play better, and I think they look better. It's more of what I meant. It's late. I'm tired. Anyway, I just think the Dynasty have been playing better than the Hunters have. And then the Hunters have obviously gotten 2 wins against the Dallas Fuel recently. I don't really think that means too much when the Dallas Fuel have been, in my opinion, one of the weakest teams in the league this stage. So that is all the picks for this week, week 4. Let's take a look now at the league standings, and we can see some changes in some positionings, of course. The Titans now 1 loss on the season, which means the Shock are now only 3 games behind the Titans for the overall divisional standings. The Titans have clinched a top 12 spot, so they will not guaranteed to be in the playoffs, but they're guaranteed at least to be in the play-in tournament. But let's be honest, they may as well be guaranteed a playoff spot. No one is going to catch them. There's no way they get knocked out of the top 12. Well, they can't. But even if they got knocked out of the top 6, which they won't, I don't see how they would lose the play-in tournament. But we'll see what happens. Eventually, we'll have our playoff teams. But now New York, still at the top of the Atlantic. Not a lot of change at the top of these divisions. The Spark closing in, though, on the Gladiators. The Dragons now overtaking the Fuel and the Dynasty. Fuel sitting at 500. Very, very close stuff there. You can see the Atlantic's looking crazy as always because teams haven't played the same number of games. But we'll see what happens to Defiant, Eternal, Uprising, and Reign. And I guess the Outlaws, too. Those are the 5 teams that are all just kind of bumping into each other in the standings and moving up and moving down. And the Pacific, you have the same thing with the Gladiators, the Spark, the Dragons, the Dynasty, the Fuel. They're kind of bumping into each other, moving up and down. But we'll see what happens with those teams. We'll see how we get closer to the playoffs. But let's take a look now at the standings for the stage. Top 10 stage standings. You can see New York sitting there at the top, the only unbeaten team remaining in Stage 3. Vancouver Titans in second at 5-1 plus 10. The Shock in third, 4-1 plus 12. The Spark in fourth at 4-1 plus 9. The Valiant just behind them at 4-1 plus 8. Then the Dragons at 3-1 plus 3. The Dynasty at 3-2 plus 7. And the Gladiators at 3-2 plus 6. Those are your top 6 or top 8 teams for the stage. The Outlaws are just on the outside at 3-2 plus 4. And the Spitfire are just below them at 3-2 plus 2. So interesting standings there. There will be some movement, I'm sure. Obviously, the Valiant play the Spark, and the Valiant have to play the Spitfire. Gladiators play the Titans. There's a lot of movement potential there. So this is definitely not the solidified top 8. Maybe it is. I could be surprised, I guess, but there will be some movement here. Some teams will move up. Some teams will move down. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But that is everything that I have for you today. Just thought I would, give that nice little fun intro because I wanted to tonight. I felt like it. It's a big moment. for Overwatch League fans everywhere. So we'll go into week 4. Have a good week. The week after that, of course, is the Atlanta homestand. So you won't be getting this video next Monday. You'll be getting it next Friday. Just a reminder in case you forgot, but you'll be reminded again later on. But if you enjoyed, consider liking and subscribing, as it helps out a lot. Comment down below your thoughts on any of my picks or anything that you want to talk about Overwatch League related. I'm always down to talk. But thank you for watching. And I'm going to get out of here now. So I'll see you all next time. And bye-bye.